Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's Aftermath. I'm your host, Hillary Z. We are live. It is Thursday evening at 8 p.m. Eastern. Welcome, everybody. So glad you could make it. This is Aftermath, the show where you can get your questions answered and keep up to date. Stick around until the end to see the winner of this week's giveaway for the Champions of the Realm winner predictions. Very exciting. Thank you all so much for joining us tonight. First of all, of course, I want to give a huge thanks to our sponsor, Forged Gaming. They make really good quality tabletop accessories, dice trays. You can even get like a little mimic chest that has teeth and stuff. It's super cool, lots of fun stuff. And they have provided us with a discount code. So if you go and want some more clacky math rocks, you can add the word Realmsmith20 at checkout to get 20% off your entire order. So thanks, Forged Gaming. Just a warning for spoilers tonight. There will be all of our season of Tides, probably minor spoilers, if any, for Wildemount if we get to that, and of course spoilers for Champions of the Realm. So join us for our main title show, Tides of Wildemount, as we followed the seditious six on their way through the Marrow Valley towards the Bromkiln Hills, hoping to seeking. Last time they made camp, attempted to hunt with some disastrous effects, and were ambushed in the night. So tune in Monday nights live at 7 p.m. Eastern to catch up on that. And of course, tune in Wednesday nights for our new show, Champions of the Realm, as we near our final championship face-off. Tune in 8 p.m. Eastern to see Mark Muir and Anna Prosser go toe-to-toe as Baloth and Evelyn, giving us the final matchup for the semifinals of our championship. Speaking of which, I'd like to invite our wonderful guests on for today. The first is our very own beloved DM, Jason Azevedo. And today we have a very special guest who joined the Realmsmith family on the latest episode of Champions of the Realm, Alicia Marie.
Hey, everybody. Hey, Jason. Oh. Thank you for having me, Hillary. I'm excited to be here. I love you guys. How's everyone doing?
I think everyone's great.
There's a lot going on.
I am excited to talk about this latest episode of Champions of the Realm because it was a humdinger. It was humdinger. So it was fun. It was so fun to watch. It looked like you guys were having a blast.
Yeah, you know what? When Jason first, approached me about being one of the champions, at first I was like, "You sure you want me to play?" Oh my God, I was like, throw me in. And then when I saw everyone, I was like, throw me in. I want to do it. And I was wondering, I wonder who they're going to put me up against. I was like, I know everybody. Some people I know better than others. But then I saw Deb was in the roster, and I was like, I wonder if they'll put me against Deb. And I did. So I was really excited because she's a good friend. I've played with her before in other games, but I've never played PvP against her, obviously. But we both like role playing, so it was just fun. We're just being silly.
It was fantastic.
You guys, I was wondering if that was the first time you had met each other because you guys' chemistry was so fun.
Really? No, we actually, this is interesting. My very first D&D game, I played with her, and I didn't know her that well. So I was really, I'm always intimidated when I see Deb. I mean, when you be, yeah, it's intimidated.
Incredible.
But yeah, like she's like you, Hillary. Like she just knows the game back and forth. So playing in a game with her, never mind playing a game against her, is just it's scary. But she's one of those people that's just really warm and like sunny. So it's almost like she wants you to join in her fun. So you do. And so I love playing games with her. She always comes up with the craziest ideas for her characters in game. And it inspires me. Like her character did what? Well, my character did this. I love that.
There was a lot of that in this latest episode, guys. So if you haven't seen it, you got to go watch it. It was so fun to see these two play off of each other. So if anybody has any questions and you're watching live, you have any questions for Alicia or Jason, please go ahead and just put it into the chat, prefaced by the word question in all caps. So my moderators, my lovely fellow moderators, can easily find them and send them on over to me. Excuse me. Sorry. So, so Alicia.
Yes.
I have been a longtime follower of you on social media. My first time ever seeing you was your mirror version of the radiant Nyota Uhura, and I was immediately hooked on you.
That the Star Trek really is a
I'm
first
a
one?
huge Star Trek nerd.
Okay, look what's sitting in front of me. A massive D20 with an Enterprise in it, and
So cool.
a massive D20 with a freaking Borg. It's harder to see, but there's a Borg ship in there.
So
Whoops.
cool.
That is phenomenal.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
And then I saw the picture of you with the actual Uhura. You actually got to meet her. So, for any realmers out there who might not know who you are and what you do in this space, please just tell us a little bit about who Alicia Marie is.
Okay. Hey guys, I'm Alicia Marie, and I'm sort of a fitness expert. I've written books and DVD series, sort of some weird YouTube videos as well. I've always been, just a big, huge nerd. I've always gone to like Comic-Cons. I dressed up. Cosplay becomes a thing. People see my storm. That led to costuming contracts and stuff. So I became a professional costumer, but only here and there. I don't have time to do a whole bunch. I do here and there. And then also, the past 2.5 years, I've been heavily into TTRPGs, Dungeons and Dragons, and just role-playing games in general. So that's basically me in a nutshell. But I'm either making costumes at the gym or playing D&D. It's pretty much it. But a lot of people do ask me questions about like how I got into Dungeons and Dragons. And I don't mean to like jump ahead of like what you were going to ask me, but
please jump wherever.
like jump wherever. I've known Matt, I've known Mercer for like 10 years now, and he was playing back then too. And I don't know if you've seen the most recent episode of Champions of the Realms, but I explained where I'm deaf. And I had cochlear implant surgery. And so that allowed me to move easier in the hearing world 2 years ago. So that's when I actively started playing D&D, but I just followed it for years. So I was able to jump. So when I was able to feel comfortable playing, that's why I was able to jump in so fast. I just hit the ground running, sort of.
It's amazing. How long have you been deaf? That's something that
oh my gosh,
people had asked.
Let me think. People asked.
Yeah. People wanted to know if it was from birth or if it was later in life.
Let me do it. Yeah, it was later in life. I started losing my hearing when I was 24, and it was weird because it's how hard that is to go through school and be like hitting, ready to like start your adult life, and then your doctor's like, yeah, your hearing's going, and I'm like, well, is it gonna stop going? And for the doctor to say, I don't know. It eventually did just cave in. So the weird thing about the pandemic was that I was like, this sucks, but it gave me the opportunity to take a bunch of time off I had surgery done back to back.
Wow.
And take all that time off to do it.
To heal and to adjust to audio input again.
Wow.
That's it. All that stuff. All of when they're telling people who get cochlear implants to exercise your brain, they want you to listen to live streams. They want you to listen to things that pipe straight into your head, sort of. And so what did we all do the entire or watch live streams and stream things? So everything in my brain like hearing caught up, and that's been a whole ride. But that's why it took me so long to get into playing D&D, but I knew everything before.
And
you followed it for years.
Years.
A
lot of years. I just used to sit back and be like, I'm scared, I don't want to do it, everyone's gonna make fun of me and laugh at me.
What was that moment like, Alicia, getting your hearing back, like coming out of that surgery? And
what was it
I don't
like?
I don't know if it was immediate when you could hear again, or does that take time? Like what's the process there?
I don't want to get emotional.
Sorry, I'm sorry. I asked the important questions.
Oh, I know. It's
sorry.
That's okay. You're fine.
Yeah.
It's one thing if you're born into like a deaf community and you're born and you grow up and you're deaf, but it's very different when you grow up completely hearing community, and then you lose a major faculty.
Yeah.
It not only just affects the way you move in the world, it affects the way people interact with you. And so it starts affecting like your self-esteem and how you see yourself. And it did, I honestly, I probably should have been in therapy, but I didn't. And so a lot of things I internalized, and it started affecting my self-esteem and my own belief system in myself. So I had to fight like a lot of demons the past like 17 something years, going through. So getting my hearing back, I was extremely skeptical because of the negativity about it. Like I was like, it's not gonna work, because you know what? For some people it doesn't work. And that's why it can be kind of controversial, because it isn't a fix all for everyone. There's a lot of things like in your inner ear that have to be perfect for it to work. Otherwise it just won't. Yeah. And it can make what you have left really like it can make, but I was skeptical. The surgeon was like, you're a perfect candidate. Why don't you just do it? And I was like, because it's not going to work for me. It's just not going to work. I got it. My first year was this one. And I remember you watch it on YouTube, you see when they turn someone on and the person's sitting there and they're like, I hear nothing. And then all of a sudden you hear something and you're like, that's exactly how it was. Like, I was just like, whoo. And all the doctors in the room started cheering. And I was like, because I heard beeping noises. And that's what everyone sounded like for the first few days. Everyone sounds like boop, 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 boop. And I'm like, what is this? But then your brain, which is a computer, starts turning those noises into language. And so it's like really fast. After a month, I could hear words, and I could make out words and sentences, and that's how fast your brain works.
Our brains are incredible.
Yeah, it's like unbelievable. But I will say, for the first week, everything was too loud.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, what is that noise? And my friends were like, it's the turn signal in the car. Yeah. Like the when you press down the turn signal. I was like, what is that noise? And then I'd be in a room and I'd hear a zzzz, like, what is that noise? And people I'm like, oh.
Wow.
All these things we've learned to tune out. Your brain was like, focus. What is this?
What is that noise? Oh, it's a dishwasher. What is that noise? Like everything. My dog's little nails on the kitchen floor. I'm like, yeah. So it's the past 2 years have been like unbelievable. And then jumping into D&D, that just helped my confidence a lot. Like people, here's what I'm gonna say. People look at me and they have automatically, they have all these
preconceived ideas.
Predisposed, like they have ideas where they think certain things just by looking at me. And I've learned it's rarely true what you think about people ever. Yeah. So D&D, like being able to play with people and be live, I was really nervous and scared at first. You're just like, everyone's gonna laugh and make fun of me. Oh God, I'm gonna be terrible. But because everyone's so welcoming and everyone's like, well, if I'm going to be here being a fool, you be a fool too. So then your comfort level goes up with just being like, this is who I am and this is who I'm playing. Mm-hmm. But before you do it, you're sort of like, well, what if everyone laughs at me?
Yeah.
Because in our society, we have been taught that only children play pretend. And you have to grow out of that at some point. And if you don't, you're just being childish. Which is so sad because it's so important to do. We need to play.
Yeah. It's part of like, some people are like, oh, it's escapism. I was like, maybe it is, isn't it? I mean, you need somewhere to escape. And you're right about becoming an adult and like losing that sort of fantasy part of you, the part that like wants to like cast spells and be a wizard. You think I'm the coolest aunt in the world.
You probably are the coolest aunt in the world.
Yeah. Because I can sit with him and talk about this and that. And he's like, I hear him on the phone, like talking with his friends, like my aunt, blah, blah. And I'm like, I'm cool. I'm like, cool.
You know it's real when a 10-year-old calls you cool because they don't pretend. Well,
they do not exactly. Like he'll be like
you.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like he makes fun of me, calls me old all the time. But when I hear him on the phone talking to his friends saying, you know, my aunt does this and that, I'm like, yeah, I do. There's something to be said for having for not losing that part of you that wants to play.
Yes.
You know?
So I would love to know, Alicia, how, and Jason, the story of how you became involved with the Realm Smith family and this show. How did that connection happen?
Yeah.
You go first,
yeah. I think was it through Nora? I'm actually running a blank right now. How did we first connect? Yeah, it was through Nora. It was absolutely through Nora. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was. And she said, yeah, she said Alicia was amazing. And
Yeah.
I had seen you on a bunch of different things, of course. And just your energy and all of that. It was just so incredible. And I didn't know your story. Before I asked you, I actually didn't know your story.
You didn't.
And yeah, and so inspiring. So I'm just, yeah, it was awesome. And that episode was something else. There was an energy and a chemistry between you two that was palpable. It was amazing. So I'm so glad that we were able to do that.
That's awesome. We really did have such a good time. And Nora's one of the people I absolutely love. I've played with her in the past few games, and like we played in one game, there was a charity, but it went on for like 5 hours. And by the end, it was like midnight. So you know when you start going crazy when you're tired, that game went far left. I don't know what happened. Like my character started throwing cheese wheels and things. I was like, it's over. But she definitely is one of those people that sort of just rolls with it, and that's how we became friends. Because I'll say something ridiculous and she'd be like, oh really? And she'll say something twice as ridiculous, and I'm like, yeah, this is why I'm here.
So good.
She is phenomenal. She seems like such a fun person to bounce role play off of, because she really does just volley so well.
She does. She likes the game, and you can always tell when someone just loves playing. And also because she likes cosplaying, and that for me is a lot of fun too. It's like I didn't like when the world sort of shut down. I had nowhere to wear all this stuff.
Yes.
It's just usually this is just a small snippet. You guys aren't seeing all of it, all the weapons against the wall here, everything. So it's like I had nowhere to sort of, I don't know, show up with stuff. And playing the live games, live streaming allowed me to like dress up a little bit and get that in there. So I was like, oh, today I'm gonna be a lion person, and I would do my makeup and show up on cam. So that part's really fun. And Nora really likes cosplaying too. So all of her characters are all so gorgeous. I'm like, I hate you.
So beautiful. The character she plays for, oh dear, I'm forgetting the name of.
Which one, Black Dice or?
I think it's Black Dice Society, where she plays that like dark flowing hair and like that big crown.
Glittery. Oh. I'm like,
she has an eye for aesthetics.
Yeah, she's good. And she plays like evil characters good, but then she also plays like super funny characters. So I was like, that's what I like. One thing I really do like about Dungeons and Dragons is that any role-playing game, but especially D&D, just because there's so many classes and so many spells and there's so many things you can do with pieces of the game. But one thing I really love is being able to step in different personalities.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Yeah, it's okay, so this character is going to have a ridiculous accent that nobody can put a finger on. And I can't even maintain it the whole game, but I'm going to try. It just allows you to step out of yourself a little bit. And I think we need that. I think we all need that sometimes.
We all need that sometimes.
Yeah.
To realize what we're bad at and what we're good at.
That's you know what? I am not good at, I'm kind of good at monks. I'm not that good at bards. But you helped me. You explained it a little bit better for me, Hillary. Explain it again.
I bet you would be great if you just had a little bit more experience with it, because you just have that effervescent personality, which is needed for a bard. And it's a really fun combination of support, but also being able to do ridiculous damaging spells if you want to.
Yeah.
See, that's the part that I don't really get to see, because most of the time you see bards singing or playing guitars or dancing. You don't get to see when they're actually like kicking someone's butt all over the arena. Roll initiative. The bard's like, do, 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 do. What's going on here? Yeah, and Satine was like, did I mention I want you to be at my show? I'm like, oh, when I'm play. She's like, well, we are all bards. What are you talking about? And I was like, oh, I better figure it out. I don't be the only person. Am I gonna rap? Maybe I'll be a dance bard, and that way I can do the robot and inspire people, you know.
I'm seeing some talk in chat about a hope of a possible future guest appearance from the delightful Alicia.
I would love to guest. I'm serious. Anything. Like, I mean, like I said, I kind of like the idea of like throwing myself into games and scenarios that I wouldn't normally feel comfortable in. That's why when Jason asked, he's like, you know what, we want you to be a cleric. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Because I've literally played, you know, barbarians, paladins. I think once I played I do play a wizard for a home game. She's a really, really smart wizard. But I'm usually the martial class. Like the one that's like, it's a job, comes with the hammer. That's just what I do. So, but I've never played a cleric. What helped is that she's war domain. So she's sort of that focus that I was able to jump into. But yeah, clerics it's basically another language for me.
It totally is. They're so different mechanically.
Yeah. And they all do, depending on what type of cleric, they do different things. And I was like, I'm gonna have to do a crash course on this so I don't embarrass myself with one dead end wall in the middle.
Yes. Actually, I was wondering kind of how that process went of you selecting Barrowin and how did you come upon this? Question for both of you.
It was assigned, actually.
I was going to say Jason.
I just thought that Alicia would be amazing at it, frankly. And I just, I was looking through all the character list and kind of the cast list and kind of our wish list, and I was like, oh my gosh, there is no better person to play this kind of glowing, effervescent, powerful individual. So that was, it was an easy choice for me.
One of our Discord members was wondering if the way that you played Barrowin, and I'm not real familiar with the character, so I apologize if this is way off, but like if she was based on anybody that you know or anything like that, because your role play for her felt so fleshed out. So just, question from Lucky Rick, is Barrowin based on someone in your life?
Oh, hi, Lucky Rick. Thank you for the question. Actually, I did the research. Like, I read up on her. And, you know, sometimes when when you start creating a character for a game, sometimes like the character starts telling you about it itself.
Yes.
Always happens for me. I'll look back and I'll be like, I'm supposed to be what am I today? I'm going to be a monk and she's this. And then I'll start with a couple sentences. I'm like, oh, and she's really a serial killer, but nobody knows. She hides it. But why is she a serial killer? Because, you know, I have like I always have stuff that comes to me. For Barrowin specifically, she has like an entire backstory lore. But two things I did add for her, because she's sort of young, but because of what she's been through, like in her life and everything, she's still very strong and straightforward. But there are pieces in her that can break because she's still very young. And there's the whole thing where she was in love and she lost him. And so there's like, her heart was broken, but she still, you know, knows what she has to do. And so that was something I sort of brought into like her personality. But then I have to do an accent because I love accents, even if they're ridiculous.
I loved that accent. I couldn't quite place it. So you got that wonderful, implaceable D&D accent. You did it perfectly.
It was like she's a dwarf and she's strong, and so she wants to say sorry. You know, I have it's a whole thing. So yeah, I just decided to have fun with it. And I think that if I go into every game thinking that, I always have a good time. And even if I've played characters where there are like a major emotional breakdown, like the character just has an emotional breakdown, I'm usually having a good time. Even if like the DM like writes me after like, are you okay? I'm like, it's fine. I didn't expect her to react like that, but she did. She had emotional sort of feeling. And sometimes it gets like that. And that's just how it is.
Yeah. And that's just as enjoyable as when your character is having a happy, good day.
It is, because sometimes there's things in you that come out through the character. And sometimes maybe that is what's happening. I just realized something. Maybe it is some like stuff like past hurts or things that are sort of coming out through the character. And that's why you react so emotionally sometimes.
Yeah.
Like me, like in one campaign I do play my character and another character. My character is a very high level synth artificer type. So what it was she looks totally human because she was created by someone who was really into robots and synthetics. But in the game we play, robots and synthetics are not allowed to look like humans. They have to be like easily looked at. That's a robot, that's a human, because they don't want mix-ups.
Yeah.
But my character's creator was like, you know what? I'm gonna make a generation like 9 synthetic, and that's what my character is. So but he got like killed or something. So she's sort of out in the world like this. She meets someone who like is out in the wasteland themselves, and her character grew up as a super mutant sort of thing being experimented on by robots. So she hates robots. She has a major fear and hatred for them. So my character, when she met her, like the first few, the audience knows what my character is, and the audience knows that her character hates robots because her character will keep saying things like, these freaking robots are all over the place. And my character is sitting there like for the first few episodes, like, maybe they're not so bad, maybe. So there was a moment when it was revealed what my character was, and it was like powerful. Like we both were like, yeah, her character went crazy because her character was built to fight in like UFC type fight rings, like super mutant, but she was tortured and stuff by robots growing up. So this is what I love about D&D. You can just come up with random stories and see how they meld and make it happen. Yeah, I'm sitting there like,
no, it's great. It's great.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
I love that. I love it when character backstories accidentally build off of each other. And they don't realize they're going to. Yeah. It's so much fun, especially as a DM. Yeah. So I do want to ask you a question. Joel himself, the lovely Joel, has emerged from his editing dungeon and is watching the show with us tonight. And he wants to know, when you first got the invite to play on Champions, what did your imagination tell you it would be like? And then I'm going to follow that up with, what were some happy differences?
And unhappy differences, if there were any. We like constructive feedback.
I wasn't going to ask that. Well, that's interesting too.
Yeah.
Okay. When Jason was, I played in PvP matches before, but not like this. It was like a ring of and whenever you're doing PvP, things have to be moved around because the game isn't built for that. Yeah. So there has to be, certain things have to be morphed because that's just not what D&D made this game to do. So even though I've done PvP before, I do know that in one instance, it can cause problems with personality types because some people can't take a loss, So I remember I remember thinking to myself, I hope that everyone here knows this is just for charity and just for fun, and everyone's just playing and it's just gonna be fun, because sometimes it got pretty heated when I played before. People are like, but wait, DM, she can't do this, blah blah blah. Anyway, I was excited. Yeah, there's always gonna be, people are like, wait a second. I was excited because I was like, this is a chance to take the whole PvP thing and even like push it to even like bigger thing with brackets and, people playing for charities and everyone having these really massive sort of fleshed out characters and then people being able to watch it like progress. So I was like, this could be like the start of something pretty big. And like I noticed last night in the chat, one of the mods was saying, everybody with tips or things you want to, advice you want to give us that you want to see, lay it on us because we'll use it for the next time we do this. And I was like, see, that's smart too, because people are going to be like, well, this would work.
Yeah.
And it helps people feel like they're getting involved in the creation of something new.
Yes.
Yeah. And actually
and they're always going to come up with stuff that we might not necessarily be because just more minds.
Totally. And that was, that was Joel's kind of idea a couple episodes ago. Actually probably last episode, because we were getting a lot of comments. And there's a lot of opinions, and even though all opinions are valuable, some of them don't come off as constructive, and so we wanted the opportunity for people to be able to say things and it be put to use. And so guys, you know what, like if that's fine, we need to process how those are being communicated and then take the truth out of it and keep it. And there's lots, man. We are learning. We're blazing trails and breaking ground here, and have made.
That's right.
We've made mistakes. We know that we need to adjust certain things. Certain things are more important to people than other things are. And one big thing for me that I learned and I'm learning is that we were taking more of a narrative fun approach to it, and in a PvP world, I think people expect rules as written, or at least a much clearer kind of set of rules. And so that's something that obviously we're kind of putting into the forefront the next time we do this, which will be hopefully in the future. So yeah, you learn all kinds of things while doing it. And man, we have a whole list of what are we doing next time that's a little different than this time, but for the most part, people are loving it, and it's really, really great. But yeah, that feedback form is super, super helpful. Maybe Joel can actually post it in the chat here, if you don't mind, Joel, if you're watching, and then also pass it to Shad so that he can be posting it in the live stream as well. But yeah, feedback's great, and we can only get better if we learn and are open to learning. So, is there anything that anything that shocked you or like you didn't expect, either good or bad? About the experience,
anything that shocked me,
or at least didn't expect. You came on, you were like, oh, I didn't expect that, or wow, or anything like that.
I didn't, you know what, it's funny, I didn't expect to be, and this is just a feeling thing, I didn't expect to feel so comfortable walking on the set. Like I was like looking, because when you walked in, I mean, you saw it, to tell you guys who are watching this right now, it was a big production. They had a big studio. They had all the people, all the corner people, the production assistants. So it was like, then there was a photo studio set thing. So it was a really big, well thought out production. So when I walked in, I had no idea what to expect. So when I walked in, I was like, oh my gosh. And I thought that I was going to walk in and like freeze. You get that feeling where you think you're going to walk on camera and be like, and like, you know what I mean? But I actually was really like comfortable, like right from the beginning. And I don't know why that is, but I was. And that's why I was able to just relax. I liked the role that Jason played, sort of, because he was a DM and he was sort of like a referee type person thing at the same time. So I like the fact that if we had a question, we could just ask and get that like pushed through or whatever. So that was a lot of fun. I did not expect to win, but then again, you never know. The dice does what it's gonna do. I've had plenty of things before, matches here and there, wherever, where the dice actually told me to go jump off a cliff. So the fact that I was like, when that was like a 20, I was like, oh, I guess it's a 20. I get an extra attack. Boom. That was cool. Yeah,
and I think that's again, you don't know how people will kind of feel on a set, because like this was a big like hold my beer, hope this goes well like It was very much, I knew I was putting a target on my back when it came to this, because as soon as you put people against people, it becomes a competition, and then it becomes almost like a sport. And then people really want, fairness is incredibly important, and because there's a winner and there's a loser, and I chose, inside baseball, I chose cast who I knew wouldn't have a problem losing graciously. And that was incredibly important. And most of them are people who are close to me already and friends of mine who I know, like Matt, who I could, we could bust his butt and make a joke of it a bit, and, have some fun with it. And he would take it with grace and fun and make it a little funny. And I mean, Deborah, she was so gracious in her loss. And was so happy for you, and like, it was just so wonderful, and it was just a testament to this community and the ability for us to kind of have fun and enjoy those moments. And I think, after the fact, I was like, that's what D&D is. Like, we're kind of used to losing sometimes, and we're kind of used to, like, failing and finding ways to then come back and succeed, and losing characters and losing fellow characters and what that means. So it was a huge learning experience that way. And again, it's so important from us moving forward, the people who are on the cast, and chemistry is incredibly important. And we saw that in your battle. Like, your chemistry was so incredibly powerful, and really made that episode what it was, for sure. So yeah, it was great.
Yeah, there's lots of people that really want to know if donuts were had afterwards.
I do donuts afterwards. I did. And everyone's like, what are you talking about? And I was like, I know where I'm going. I do. One was like white with like blue stripes on it, and the other one was just the chocolate one. That's
did you plan the donut thing ahead of time? Like, was that like some of the things that she liked? I love it. Like, so that was all improv in the moment.
I had no idea. When I was sitting in the interview seat in the beginning, they're like, do you have a plan for going against Jamila? And I was like, one is called a kitchen sink and the other one's called the Velcro. That was made up. I have no idea what I was talking about. And after I said it, I was like, what am I talking about? And this,
I totally
what is going on?
That's great.
I love that. That was totally impromptu.
I had no idea.
Damn, I was like, I should have thought of this before they set me down. I didn't think of anything.
Fantastic. It came off so natural and so fun, and so in the moment, it was great. No, it was great.
Speaking of those corner conversations, question from Sakura on our Discord. Who was the voice on the phone?
So the voice on the phone originally...
It was the voice of the great Gorgolfin. It was Gorgolfin, but go ahead.
Yes. So we actually had on set, Alicia actually called one of her friends and was on the phone with a friend, but we couldn't hear, the microphones actually unfortunately didn't pick up the sound good enough, so we couldn't keep it for the actual episode. Maybe we'll have that person in person next time we do this. But that was our very own Joel Auge who did the voiceover for Gorm. That was Joel, as most people called out.
We're rather familiar with his voice.
Yeah, so we were like, because we were thinking, I was like, I don't have a corner, but it would make sense, for Barwin to call upon her spirits in order to give her guidance for when she's, it made sense. It'd be funny if she's like, I'm calling on guidance. Let me call them now,
Great. Although next time I think you should bring 7 dwarves for your corner.
I know.
Oh, that was so funny. Why did I mean 7? Why did I say 7?
Oh, there was so many good moments.
I have no idea. God, I was like, why did I anyway? Because it's right in your head to say 7 dwarves. But right when I said it, I saw Deb's face go. And I was like, no, not those.
It was so good. There were so many good moments.
I do kind of love the idea of the 7 dwarves being Snow White spirit guardians, though. Like,
I do.
Yeah.
Oh.
Right.
Like, that's actually a really good idea.
Right.
Aren't you on? You are on a Disney princess themed stream, aren't you?
I got to play Elsa for a little while.
So
that was fun. And that was fun because that was like that was like some of my first games. Or someone just mentioned the slappening. What prompted the slappening?
Yes.
I don't know.
That was so good.
So I was like, well, what is it? It's the spiritual weapon. It can pretty much be anything, right? So I was like,
gauntlet.
Yeah.
I think I explained this. The the Infinity Gauntlet was created by dwarves in the Marvel universe. It was. So I was like,
it was so good.
They were destroyed for it. So I was like, let her weapon be the gauntlet that was created by her people.
That's so good. When you said the slapping, it broke me.
But it became I was like, one of the best things about D&D is was telling Hillary this, being able to fudge the spells. Like just play with the spells a little bit, make them do things that you wouldn't think they were going to do. Like I had a tabaxi that was playing and she was like a barbarian. So she's not a barbarian, she was a wizard. So she had fireball, but it was furball.
Yeah.
And it like blew hairs everywhere and it did the same damage, but it just fit the tabaxi.
Yeah, I love that. That's so good. Oh, that's so good.
Thank God.
One of my favorite things about playing D&D with people is seeing how they flavor their magic.
Ooh, flavor your magic. I'm writing that down. Flavor your magic.
You did. I loved how you flavored it, of like your ancestors standing on your shoulders, and
yes,
wonderful.
I actually got a lot of that whole idea from Deb, like playing with her, because she's really descriptive. She'd be like, there's these things coming out of the sides of her face. And then you hear it. And I'm like this. Yeah, what else? Like you get wrapped when you hear people describe like that. So
and every time you
listening to her, and then
every time
it makes me like, well, I want to
she would go, she would turn her head, and then Joel would edit and switch to it, and it was so great. Yeah. It was so great.
Yeah, one of my favorite moments was when I had the shield up. Yeah. And she was leaning over me and she was like bleeding and like she's tearing up and all that. And I'm like, oh, ew. But it was awesome though.
Ew. I want to know what your guys' internal reactions were when Jamila decided that Barrowyn was a goddess. I thought that was
I wanted to cry. What about you?
Yeah, it was, again, I remember I was sitting here watching it with Mel, my fiance, and she was like, "Aw!" like the whole time. Again, it was like one big combat D&D hug. It was so good. But the whole thing with like, it was perfect because again, it's about people who really know not only their characters and their classes and races, but also the others, right? And that was a huge playoff between them. It was her being able to say, as a barbarian, to see that, being a barbarian from the jungle, not necessarily having the access to those things, to see someone in gilded armor who was kind of glowing, of course this must be a goddess, especially for the reverence. And then for you to say, your ancestors on your shoulders, and understanding how important, ancestors are to barbarians and all that, it was just such good story weaving. It was so great.
It was really
that actually makes sense. Like because of what Jamila is, that's what she's gonna think. And Barrowyn's like, what? Yeah. I'm just here to fight. What do you mean? Basically she's sort of like, okay.
Yeah.
So
good.
So we are getting to about 15 minutes before the hour.
Yes.
And I know that we want to do a giveaway and show the pre-fight interview for next episode of Champions. But I do have a couple more questions. Just two more. The first one is for both of you. With Alicia's win, we have our first finalized matchup for the semifinals. I'm so excited to see how you and Nora and Esmeralda and Barrowyn play off of each other. I know you can't really say anything about it, but are there any teasers you can give us about that episode?
I'm really excited. Okay, first of all, I'm playing Nora.
I mean,
so I've had some really fun matchups in general. Nora's crazy. I'm crazy. We both love the game. We both love dressing up. We both love character creation. We like being very colorful. And for me, life can be very hard. Life can be very depressing sometimes. We both like to inject humor where we can and where it's appropriate. I'm just excited to play her because she's another one like Deb. They're just very receptive. Yeah. Like if you come at them with one thing, they'll be like, well, I guess that's what we're doing. And they'll come right back with it. And those are the best people to play with. Because you can play with people who you're trying and you can tell they're just sort of like
not sure.
Like pushing back.
Yes.
But Yeah,
Very generous.
Nora's a good one.
It's great. It's so
I'm
good.
excited about it. I'm excited to see what it looks like.
It's fantastic. It's great. Oh yeah, me. I guess the question you said it was for both of us.
Yeah.
Man. Again, Nora and I've always said this before, that people who know each other, I think, have really incredible chemistry.
Yeah.
And you saw that with Nora and Matt, and just how they played each other, and not played against each other, and also like they could like taunt lovingly and it come across as that, and not, you know what I mean, and still have fun. So, you know, there's a chemistry between Alicia and Nora that is absolutely palpable, and knowing, okay, these people have a relationship, and that comes across, and it brings like a comfort to that match. Anyways, it's so fun. So fun. I can't say too much. I will say no more.
Yeah, exactly. I did not have I didn't have like a plan of action. I just knew, I know what Esmeralda is, I know what Barwin is, and I was like, I know what I'm going to have to do going into that fight. I know what I'm going to have to do, and I'm just going to have to do what I got to do.
Yeah, so good.
Let's see.
So good.
Question for you, Jason, from Mistra Ravenwind, and I was wondering this as well. What was the deciding factor for who won?
For Barwin and for Jamila. Yes. So I will tell you, inside baseball, I did not know the answer until I raised your hand. That was the hardest. That was the hardest one to judge. I actually walked over to Joel after it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? And I was doing the math in my head because it was so close. And even everyone online watching it was like, man, it was so close. It was so close. It was so close. You know, and I think if you hadn't have done the shield and she had gotten through with all of her stabs, it would have gone the other way. But going into that final round, it was tied at 2-2 for the rounds, and we score each round separately. So I knew that fifth round would be it, and you pulled it out in that fifth round. So that it was tough. That was an incredibly difficult. No, but I'm telling you, it's not just dice too, right? It's tactics. That shield was, you know, it was a clutch move. It was something that was stopped you from being damaged as much as, you know, a barbarian can do, right? It was fantastic. Hard battle.
There was like getting grappled was not something I thought was going to happen. Like I didn't realize she was going to be that up in my face, even though for some reason it just fast. She was up in my face fast with the grapple. One of the great things that I got, I mean, you never see people use dodge in games.
No.
So getting to use dodge was kind of
right.
Say to use dodge. Yeah, people never use it.
Yeah. No,
Maybe now they'll use it more.
And you see a lot of things in here that, like, grapple is another great one for this type of battle. That is a great thing to use that a lot of people don't use all the time in D&D. It really forces you to look at combat like a chess match more than, you know, just, I'll figure it out when my initiative turn comes around. It's like you have a certain amount of moves that you can do in this 5-round fight, and you got to make them count. So
that's right. The strategy, the math, looking at the map. The game board was really cool, by the way.
So cool, right?
So cool. The game board was awesome.
Yeah, that was fun. It made it even more fun, like to see them move around and stuff like that. That was cool. And I liked my little Barwin figurine. That was very cool too. Awesome. My mini.
So good.
All right. So last question before we go to the giveaway and the video for Alicia, our beloved guest. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. First of all,
thank you for having me, everyone.
So you mentioned in your pre-fight I can speak. Pre-fight interview, and we talked about it a little bit here, that you had wanted to try D&D for many years but never did because you felt a lot of anxiety around your difficulties with hearing. And I've heard from a lot of people that have put off joining that they were scared for years. First of all, I'm so glad that you did join us. I said this to you before we started, but I'm so glad you joined us because you're such a wonderful addition to our extended D&D family. But If you could look back in time and talk to yourself, or maybe other people out there who are wanting to try D&D but are scared to, what would you say to yourself or to those people that are, for whatever reason, afraid to just jump in and try?
You know what? That's okay. That's a loaded question, because there are two types of people that I've heard from. One type is they want to play, but they can't find people.
Yes.
And the second type is, I'm scared because everyone's going to laugh at me. I'm just going to be so bad that people are going to feel sorry for me and all that other stuff. The first one, for people who can't find a table, like it's easy to find a community, but you have to be willing to use the resources, like Discord. There are always people looking for tables. And I've noticed some of my friends who were afraid, were afraid that they couldn't find people. They'd go in, they'd join a table, and then you'd meet someone who'd invite them to another table like that. But you have to do that. You have to find, these are people if you don't have friends who play, you have to find, for people who are afraid to play because you're nervous, I want to say I was so scared. You don't understand how, even when I think of my first game, how I lost a night of sleep before I played my first game. I was like, I got the book, you should see it. There's like tabs, and I had like reference cards and everything for it, because if you go in thinking you have to know every spell like back and front, and if you forget something, you lose and all that. But one thing you realize when you're playing is that everyone does everything. Everyone forgets, I could have used that. I could have, that's a bonus action. I could have done that. Even veteran players make mistakes. So there's no real, there's no person on high saying, you have no right to play this game because you forgot to cast this right after you cast that. Do not, if you have the ability to play, but you're just not playing because you're holding yourself back, just try it, just do it. And there's no bad, but if you feel like you're bad, trust me, you're not. No one's paying attention to what you're doing. They're paying attention to what they're doing. No one's paying attention to what you're doing. So yeah, it really is that whole thing where it's like, just do it. That whole thing.
It's great.
Yeah.
It's great.
I want to slap myself from the past. That's what I want to do, Hillary. I want to slap myself.
I think all of us want to slap
maybe a slap and a hug.
Our past selves. Certain times of our lives.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, then with that, I think we should do our giveaway.
So this giveaway is it's from our bracket. So we had people sign up on our website and make predictions as to who they thought would win the tournament. And that was fun. Actually, I should Alicia, I don't know if you're aware that you can actually go to our website and see what the predictions were and who's winning for the predictions and all that stuff. If you go to championsrealm.com. So each week, Forged is giving away a dice set of your choice to one of the people who entered the bracket. It's not somebody who's won or who's doing well. It's just somebody who joined. So Alicia, if you have, I'm assuming you have dice handy.
You have dice on me all the time.
Of course you do. So I need
always, they're everywhere.
I need you to roll 1d3. So
you know what? Let's use this one.
So yes. Oh, there you go. That's good stuff. We know what that is.
Yay.
Lost Odyssey set that was used, game used. You'll be able to sell that on eBay someday. So roll a d6.
I love it. Okay, let me get it open. Very cool inside there.
Ooh, that's fun.
Isn't it? Okay. And it's do you want to know? 5.
Okay, so a 5. So that's 3. So that's 300. And then roll a percentile die, please.
Okay. Oop, 99.
99.
Oh.
Wow. It's going to be someone near the end here.
Mm-hmm. Oops.
Oh, hang on. Actually, if you could, so we have roll it one more time, because that's actually higher than we had.
Okay.
The numbers, yeah.
You got it. See, 13.
There we go.
Mm-hmm.
Lucky 13.
Yes. Oh, thank you.
And that is Michael. That's all we have. But Michael, you're the prize winner of a forged dice set. I don't know if you're watching, but somebody will be reaching out to you soon for your prize. You'll be able to choose. And thank you to Forged, of course, for being not only the sponsor of this show, but now a proud product sponsor of Tides of Wildemount as well. Awesome. Congrats, Michael.
Thank you. Congratulations, Michael.
Great.
Thank you to Alicia for helping us select our winner for this evening.
Alicia.
Thank you for having me. It's been the most wonderful experience. I've learned so much about. It's funny, you can play this game every day for years, but every time you play, you learn something new. You're like, oh, I didn't know I could do that. Oh, cool.
Yeah, 100%.
So true.
100%.
Totally. Yeah. So the next thing for me, you know what the next thing for me is? DMing. Oh,
I can't
I'm
wait.
putting it out there now because it's accountability for myself.
You got this. I believe in you.
I love it.
Awesome.
All right. And now we have a why do I keep saying pre-flight?
No, I don't know.
Pre-flight.
The pre-flight. Yes, pre-fight interview. This is the interview that was just released today. Some of you may not have seen it. This is the pre-fight interview for Mark Meer and Anna Proster's episode, which is coming next Wednesday. So check it out. We'll be right back.
We are here at Champions of the Realm.
I've been playing Dungeons & Dragons since Fiend Folio was a new release. So since the early 80s, I've been at this for quite a while. It's pure nerdery, and it is certainly a pool that I enjoy swimming in.
It's hard to count when I started playing Dungeons & Dragons, but it actually was more recently than a lot of my peers. And I only played on stream, never rolled a physical die, always rolled digital dice for the first 3 or 4 years that I was playing. Now I have plenty of physical dice as the problem hits us all. But yeah, so I guess I started playing probably about 8 years ago. It feels like it's such a part of my life that I can't believe it was that recently, if you will.
I'm very glad that I took the tough feat, because I think I'm going to need every single hit point I have. I'm going up against a paladin. I'm a sorcerer. It's not going to go well.
Usually when I'm getting ready for a game with Evelyn, it's mostly about what are some of the fun stories I can tell. You know, I can speak to animals, I can persuade people, I can do funny things, you know, to entertain an audience. So the PvP aspect is totally new, and it's been really fun to take a look at Evelyn and say, okay, if she was really just trying to prepare to fight, what would I take? And I feel like it's helped me understand the character a lot better. I've never been much of a min-maxer, but I've always just kind of been confident in Evelyn's tanky ability to take whatever anything throws at her. So taking that and then on top of it having put an element of strategy has been really fun.
Paladins are very good at making saving throws, and I'm a spellcaster, so her failing saving throws would really work well for my battle strategy. We'll see if the dice cooperate.
When I first started thinking about playing versus a sorcerer, my thoughts were like, okay, how do I maybe incapacitate them, lock them down right away? What are some fancy things I can do to buff myself, to make myself harder to hit with spell damage? But the more and more I thought about it, if we have 3 to 5 rounds, I'm a paladin, I have lots of hit points, sorcerer probably doesn't have quite as many. My strategy became, how do I hit as hard as I can, as fast as I can? And then with Evelyn especially, most of her spells are bonus actions that have to do with if you hit someone, then this other thing happens. So most of my strategy revolves around just trying to hit as much as I can, and then if I do, add some other fun spell stuff on top.
I'm playing for Make-A-Wish. I've actually done some work for Make-A-Wish in the past. Often people who've been working with the Make-A-Wish Foundation come up to BioWare for a tour of the studio, and they often ask for me as a guide, and I'm only too happy to go along.
Most of the time when I play for charity, it's for large charities that are doing amazing big things, but since I got to choose any charity I wanted this time, I have a very small little dog rescue in Vernonia, Oregon, from which I got my Pomeranian Nizki, so I'm playing for a Displaced Pets Rescue.
So good. So very good.
Whoa, that's gonna be
Cannot
epic.
wait. Cannot wait. It's so good. All of them are so good. All the matches are great, but I can't. It was so weird. I will say again, a bit more inside baseball. We were at Nora's house when we were in LA filming, and Mark was sitting on the couch across from me. And for a second, I don't know, I kind of looked away and I kind of closed my eyes for a second for whatever reason. And it was like Commander Shepard was sitting on the couch with me.
Oh yeah.
It was so
That's
mind-boggling. His voice is I just wish he could just read me the phone book and I'd be happy the rest of my life.
Mm-hmm.
He's got such a fantastic voice. Anyways, over to you, Hillary.
He does. He does. And he's so intense.
Yes.
Yeah. He was in character the whole
it's so
time.
good. Method D&D for the win. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm so pumped to watch that episode next week.
Me too. It's every Wednesday. The only complaint that I've been hearing is that it's over so fast. They're like, no, keep going. I'm like, we're out of her retirement.
It's pretty crazy that an hour of D&D is considered short form D&D, like for short form content in this space. It's pretty crazy. I know.
Yep.
Yeah.
I know. All right.
All right. Well, before we end the show, I like to open the floor up to my wonderful guests to talk about anything that is coming up that they're excited about, any events. I know, Jason, I know what you're excited about, Champions of the Realm and all that jazz. Alicia, is there anything coming up in your world that you are excited to tell us about?
Actually, there's a lot, but like I was saying earlier, everything I'm doing costume-wise is NDA'd, so I can't even talk about it, but they're coming to my socials. My socials are at Alicia Marie Body. That's where I put everything up when I'm able to put it up. But game-wise, I do have a couple of jobs. I have a Jasper's game day coming up at the end of the month, and I'm excited. I love playing with them, so that'll be a lot of fun.
And we can find that on Twitch?
Yes, but I live on Twitter because I'm a maniac, and that's where I promote the crap out of everything I'm doing. So if you want to find out what I'm doing, find me on socials, talk to me, ask me what the heck's going on, tell me what you're up to. I want to hear. I'm super nosy, so I'm always asking questions. So please find me on socials.
It's great.
All right. Well, on that note, thank you so much to Forged Gaming for sponsoring this show and now our main title show, Tides of Wildemount. Big thanks to Jason and Alicia for being my guests this evening. It is an honor. Thank you so much. Also, thank you to Jason for producing and making all the pretty screen things happen.
Yeah.
It's much easier said than done.
Good job, Jason.
Thank you to the Realm Watchers, the Technomancers, and the Weavers of all levels. You guys add so much value to our community. I know I say that every week, but I mean it every week. You guys are awesome. Huge thanks to all of my fellow moderators, the Smithgardians. You guys make the world go round, our little world go round. I'm proud to be part of the team. And of course, last but certainly not least, thank you to every single one of our viewers. You. Yes, you. Thank you for being here tonight. You're great. We appreciate you. And we will see you Monday as we venture back into the wild.
That's good. Bye.